The circus came overnight. No trucks, no sound. Just there on the edge of Rustwood, a town that hadn't seen anything new since the lumber mill burned down. In its place now stood Mr. Whims' Phantasmagorical Circus, spelled out in towering bone-white letters that seemed to shimmer when you weren't looking straight at them. No one remembered seeing tents go up, but they were there. Too many to count, impossibly tall, fluttering in a wind that didn't touch the trees. By morning, flyers littered the streets like dead leaves. A single phrase stood out beneath the swirling fonts and grotesque illustrations. Tonight only. No tomorrow. Max didn't believe in signs or fate or any of that crap. He just needed a break from his dad yelling and his sister crying, and the gnawing emptiness that settled behind his ribs every time he looked around town and saw nothing at all. So, when the lights blinked on after sunset, pulsing like a heartbeat across the horizon, Max grabbed his coat and followed the noise. The entrance had no gate, just a narrow arch, low enough to make you duck. It whispered as you passed under it. Welcome, 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 welcome. The words brushing against the inside of your skull like cobwebs. Inside, everything was strange. The sky was too dark, the shadows too slow. The smells, popcorn, sweat, copper, rot, mixed in ways that made Max's stomach flip. The clowns stood too still. The fire breathers didn't blink. And every act ended the same way, the crowd clapping in a trance while the performer wept behind a frozen smile. Max had had enough. He turned to leave. That's when the lights died. A spotlight snapped on, centered on the main tent. It pulsed once, then twice, calling. Inside, the tent was vast. Wrongly vast, like stepping into a cathedral carved from a whale's skeleton. The audience sat silently, not moving, not breathing, not living, their faces stretched into grins, eyes wide and glossy like mannequins caught mid-laugh. Then he appeared, Mr. Whim himself. 7 feet tall, pale as chalk, dressed in a red velvet coat that trailed like smoke. His hat was too tall. His teeth were too many. His eyes, if they were eyes at all, swirled like oil on water, shifting colors and shapes too fast to follow. He didn't walk. He slid or glided, bent forward at the waist, as if too amused to stand up straight. His voice filled the tent without touching the air.
Ladies and gentle things, beasts and broken souls, we have a special treat tonight.
His gaze snapped to Max. The spotlight followed.
A volunteer!
The audience turned their heads in perfect unison. Max ran. Tunnels shouldn't exist under a circus. Not ones that spiral, not ones made out of stitched flesh and whispering cloth. But that's where he ended up. Running through corridors that pulsed and breathed, lights flickering like dying fireflies. He could hear Mr. Whim behind him, not running, not even chasing, just laughing, a low, oily chuckle that crawled into Max's ears and laid eggs. He reached the end of the tunnel, and there stood a cage, empty and waiting. Max didn't stop in time. The bars grew around him like vines locking with a click that sounded like bones breaking. Mr. Whim stood outside, head cocked, smiling a smile that bent physics.
Every circus needs a star, Max. And every star needs a cage.
The tent vanished. The audience cheered. and Mr. Whim bowed. The next morning, the circus was gone. Nothing but trampled grass and a flyer pinned to the town bulletin board, one new line scrawled in blood-red ink beneath the old slogan. Maxwell Price, the boy who never blinked, coming to a town near you.